about 2 years ago, my then 7-year-old niece started having little bouts of vomiting. Basically, she just started throwing up, you know, like you keep your kid off school, and she threw up, and keep her home from school. She was better the next day. And this kind of went on for a period of several weeks, enough that she ended up going to the doctors, and the doctors took one look at her and said, "You have a virus, go home." And she continued to vomit, she continued to have numbness on one side of her body. She went to the hospital and they told her she had a virus and they sent her home. It wasn't for 18 weeks after the first time she started throwing up that she woke up one morning and had lost her sight completely. And of course, very shortly after, they discovered she had 2 very large brain tumors. Coincidentally, and it truly is coincidentally, around about the same time as she was undergoing treatment, my own son Theo, of course we all know Theo, started having these little weird little episodes I've talked to some of you about, many of you probably not, little episodes that were so difficult to describe. Like he had little purple lips, he'd stare off into space. And we took him to the doctors right away, and the doctors were like, "He's dehydrated. Make sure he drinks lots of water." And that went on for a year before we too discovered, after a trip to the emergency room, that he also had a brain tumor. Now, Ruby's brain tumor and Theo's brain tumor were entirely and completely unrelated. Theo's is a benign brain tumor, and Ruby's remains a malignant tumor. So, in light of the fact that both my sister and my family had these experiences with our children, we decided to form a team. It's called Team Ruby. There's a branch over here, and there's a branch in the United Kingdom, and we've done all kinds of fundraising efforts. I believe, looking around, many of you were on Team Ruby team a year and a half ago, I think, for Sam Rhodes, to run the Rock and Roll Half Marathon. And this time, for our fundraising efforts, this time Julia and I are both running the London Marathon, which is going to be in it's about 3 weeks now. We decided to run the marathon to benefit the Brain Tumor Charity, and with a very specific goal in mind, actually. They exclusively fund a program called the Head Smart program, and this Head Smart program's very goal is to try and reduce the amount of time it takes to diagnose brain tumors in children. So we feel like this, and for Ruby, she will always be blind. And if she had been diagnosed sooner, her sight could have been saved. So we do feel like it's a very real, very tangible goal, and this is why Julia and I have really kind of gone all out to raise money for this organization. So this is one of my events here today, and I know many of you have already donated to the cause. You're incredibly generous. If you have not yet and would like to consider donating, there is lots of ways that you can do it, and I'll invite Jan to come up and tell you about that later on in the program. You can do it here, or you can do it at home at your own convenience. So anyway, that's a little bit of background information. I'd like to introduce some of my incredible colleagues who just jumped at the chance to help out in this benefit. We have my friend Jennifer, who's a flutist in the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. We have Melissa, who is Associate Principal Cellist in the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. Scott Andrews, who is Principal Clarinetist at the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. And Peter Henderson, who is our pianist in the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. And they have just very, very graciously agreed to play for us today. So we have a beautiful concert for you, and I'd like to invite Jennifer up first. Jennifer Nitchman. If you are here. There you are.